Thank you, councillors, for granting this deputation. I'd also just like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the service, the many years of service of Claire Sullivan to this council, who I understand she left yesterday. And she typified to us in my dealings with her of best practice of a council officer. And I'd like to acknowledge she was very good to deal with and being professional. Councillors, I'd like to informally thank the councillors for their support of the residents who spoke up, wrote letters, called talkback radio, attended campaign public events to tell the CCDU that they considered Victoria Square a special place and they wanted the retention of the current design. As you were well aware, and I think around this council table, you'll be implicitly aware that the Christchurch residents think it is their right that they should be able to comment, and will do so when they think it's appropriate, and I think you implicitly understood this. It is surprising that other individuals did not, and they spoke loudly. Two, we'd like to request the councillors recommend to the Associate Minister Wagner that the current heritage objects, the trees, the plantings and the existing layout of Victoria Square should be retained, repaired and restored. And where practical, any replacement objects, i.e. the lighting, be replaced with modern equivalents that are similar in design. We'd request that the councillors include in their communications with the Associate Minister Wagner and CCDU a concern that any planned additional artworks, and it should read standalone elements, shared heritage experiences, of which there are two, to be reconsidered, and a commitment to be sought that the Christchurch residents be consulted before any placement occurs. I should note that Victoria Square has already 2 statues, a fountain, flagpoles, trees, light standards and an Edwardian telephone box, so a vigorous assessment should be done before any more are added. And there seems to be a concentration on putting objects into Victoria Square, and I look at the rest of the Avon River aside from one recent art object, and it's quite bare, and I'm wondering why there's such a concentration, particularly on putting more objects into Victoria Square. There seems to be a parallel process of this strategy, and it's identified as preliminary discussions with Ngāi Tahu for standalone elements, which has been preliminarily identified, which seems to be running parallel to that. It would be nice if it was combined. And we'll also request that the councillors seek more detail from CCDU on the extent of the widening of the pathways and ascertain if it is required, and the measures to be used to ensure that cyclists are diverted away from using Victoria Square's central path. The draft plan is unclear on these issues, and I endorse Grant Edge's observations about it being a diagram. As an experience down in Victoria Square, which I spent a lot of time recently, there's a city care on the riverside, one of the pathways, was a city care truck parked there, and 2 people could walk past easily. So it's quite a wide pathway it is now. I'm not sure how much wider you would need it to be. And I'm still unclear of how they propose to resolve the cycling issues. The Victoria connection coming through, which is a great idea, it's going to lead people straight through, and there is plans to divert, but it's not, the detail is unclear how they plan to do it. I don't think putting a sign up is appropriate, saying no cyclists. Councillors, thank you very much for listening to the deputation.
Yeah. Yanni and then Vicky.
Thank you for your deputation. Just one of the concerns that people raised was just the cost of money being spent. Have you seen with the revised plan any budget or any, do you have any understanding of what the associated costs are still going to be with the proposal? No, we've had no communication as to what's happened. The only formal communication we've had is the consultation at Knox Church, where the reference group were there, moving with the people there, which I thought was a great idea, with full plans where they discussed any concerns the public had, but we've had no indication of costs. I endorse Grant Edge's proposal that the reference group be maintained and work through it, because I think the costings will start to emerge when the design work is done, and they'll get a clearer picture.
Okay, thank you. Vicky? Actually, you just answered my question, because my question was going to be, do you endorse the recommendations that have just been put forward by Grant? So you've answered it already.
Yes, I think I'm very mindful that we don't want to hold up the work that's being done on Victoria Square, and I think it's an important part of the next stage of the rebuild of the city on a public space. Yes, I think it appears to have worked well, and the group seem to have worked well, and there's a good selection of people.
Yep. Glenn.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mark. This has been a great exercise in democracy. Once people knew what was going on. So the previous deputation said, talked about there being devil in the detail, but actually there's no detail. When you look at the report, it's a good thick report. It talks about elements in the millimetre, but you still feel there's no actual drilled down detail as well. So
that's correct. Yeah, I cannot ascertain because the plan gives me, but doesn't actually say how wide the pathway is. Okay. It's sort of an unusual process because I'm sort of one step behind. I noticed in the preparation of the staff report, I've not had any communications with staff about that. No one came to us and asked us about our opinion or what we thought or our reaction to it, because we're sort of one step away from this one because the public participation that is gone and you are acting as our representatives.
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, we do need more detail. It's important to see the detail.
Any further? Very good. Okay, well,
thank you very much.
So if